I had one of the best years of my life in Mesa. There was a lot of working backwards from what is needed. Most of the things I learned here are life skills, not just work skills. The intensity of learning for me per month would be probably much higher. One of the reason I joined a founding cohort and conference was that I get to, people, they'll experiment on me. There was a lot of assistance in terms of how do you reach out, who do we reach out.
Hi everybody, today we have Praveen from our founding cohort joining us on the campus. He is sharing his journey at Mesa and what he is doing now. Welcome back to campus, Praveen.
Thanks, Ankit. Thanks for inviting and having me here. It's great talking to you.
And it's always great to have you back here. Now that you've started a full-time role, it's harder to catch you, but we hope to see more of you here.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited as well.
Yeah. Just for everybody's context, do you mind sharing what are you doing? Which startup are you working with? What's your role? What are you responsible for?
Yeah. I'm working as a junior account executive in a software company, SaaS company. It's a AI SaaS company where the product is based on machine learning. So I'm responsible for selling this software that is built in India and taking it and selling it in the US market. So that's primarily my responsibility. I have monthly targets around how much I should be doing and who are the right people I should be reaching out to. It's a pretty early stage startup and very great people. So yeah, that's about it. And I'm having a great time there.
And what's the name of the startup?
The startup is Humantic AI. It's spelled as HUMANTIC AI. So Humantic AI.
Humantic AI.
Yeah.
Got it. So it's a pure business development role where there is some product in place and now you have to take it to more customers out there and see what more can be done.
Yeah. The team has spent quite some amount of time on building the product and now it's time to hit the market and that's what we've been doing.
And in which part of the role working in a startup? Because you haven't worked in startups before, right? So which parts of it are you liking the most? Are you enjoying the most?
The very fact that I get to work with the founder himself so closely, and also my founder is pretty experienced, roughly 18 to 20 years experience, is that the value, learning wise, it's extremely higher, right? And that is my most favorite part. And also any mistakes I do, that it get course corrected very soon.
Whether
you have to wait for a quarterly meeting.
Whether you like it or not, it gets course corrected.
It gets course corrected soon. And you if at all you're doing mistake, you don't have to wait it out in a quarter and then they point out, oh, you've made a mistake. But here it happens on a daily basis. So I think that helps me learn faster compared to otherwise.
Got it. No, I think that's great to hear that you're enjoying learning, getting a lot of feedback. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
hopefully positive feedback. But yeah.
So, but if you think back 15, 18 months, I still remember our first meeting in the WeWork when you'd come in. I think it was a business suit you were wearing.
Yes. I didn't know what. I thought just let me look my best and we'll see what happens.
No, it didn't hurt.
Yeah,
obviously. But no, you're a doctor by training, right? You also practice as a doctor. So what was your motivation to join a program like Mesa, especially in their founding cohort?
Right. So while I've done MBBS for education, during MBBS also I was slightly interested in business. I ran a drop shipping and everything. And when I came out, I realized what I don't know is way too much. And to abstractly try to figuring out point by point, it's harder and it'll consume a lot more time. So I was looking for an MBA in general. But while I was working in one of the company and when I saw Mesa program come up and, I remember I saw the ad of Varun, your fellow mate. He said, we only teach what is relevant for today. I think that was the line that grabbed my attention by and large. And obviously with that information, I started digging slightly deeper to understand what is the course curriculum, who are the faculties, who will be facilitating. And when I had all this information, my confidence on the founding cohort or Mesa itself started increasing gradually. It was not a one-time thing. Initially, probably my confidence was 20%, but as I researched more and spoke to more people, it became better and better. And then I thought, I think this is the shot we're taking. And also the founder of the company that I was working at that time knew you. And he gave a right take. I said, hey, I think Ankit is a very smart guy. I think you should go when I got that, kind of confidence from him, I thought this is a decision I should make and I got in.
No, but what was the core motivation? Like what was the objective in your mind? So one, you said, that you wanted to learn a lot, right? But for that, any business school would have been, helpful.
Right.
Why specifically Mesa, right?
Right. I had entrepreneurship at the back of my mind. I have entrepreneurship at the back of my mind all the time. Now, any business school will teach you business, but when that's why I brought up the point that Varun said we'll only teach you what is relevant to startups, and I saw myself being around startups. Luckily, I am currently. So when I thought if somebody is taking the time and effort to collate all the information and work backwards from startup ecosystem and the skills relevant for startup ecosystem, and is ready to teach you that particular package, I thought if I go in somewhere else where it is more of a general and some amount of probably skill will overlap, I thought this was a much better learning, right? The intensity of learning for me per month would be probably much higher, and when I go out, I have a very fair idea of what am I supposed to do, what am I needed to do. So with that particular thing in mind, that I learn things that are relevant, I won't be feeded in redundant information just because it is there in a textbook. I think that was the most exciting point. There's that I learned relevant things, and that's how it turned out to be. So
great. So basically, you wanted to focus on startups. You wanted to learn things relevant,
very relevant for startups,
and that was the only program you could find. And you said that this is very relevant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how has been the experience? It's now, you went to the entire program. Obviously, one of our star students. So how was the experience from your side?
I think I had one of the best years of my life in Mesa, and it's more to do with professional than for personal. When we say best year, it could be just having fun. No, professionally, I had one of the best years of my life because even though I spent roughly 6 years in medicine, there was always some distance in terms of what I was learning and what I wanted to do. And when I came here and when things were laid out so structurally, very in a structured way, what are the things that are needed for foundations? And there was a lot of introspection and help from the team in a very structured way to make me realize what I would want to do better and where would I do well. That was really helpful for me because coming in, I was also fairly confused because startups is again a word. What inside startup? What will I do to create value for the people I'm working for? So when I went through the program, when I got through first 2-3 months, the course very solidly focused on the fundamentals itself. They didn't bother us too much with the details. They said just focus on the fundamentals, learn the fundamentals of business, talk to faculties, talk to IPs who come in. So in the first 3 months, I got some decent idea of how the course structure is laid out, how the business world is laid out. I spoke to a lot of IPs, VCs, whoever used to come on campus. And then it started getting fine-tuned over a period of time. They said, okay, what are your strengths? What are the strengths that you can acquire over the period of next 10 months? What do you lack? For example, I lacked a bunch of hard skills during when I came in. Like, I didn't know how to use Microsoft Suite, be it Excel, or how to make a decent looking PPT. In fact, you used to criticize my PPTs a lot. Even now, I don't think I make great PPTs, but I still understand, okay, if I have to make a business case for my startup with a VC, I know to put together a well-structured document.
I remember the pitch you made to one of the VCs on medical tourism startup.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
That wasn't a great look.
I agree. But that is a life skill, right? If I have to put it in a very single line way, is that most of the things I learned here are life skills, not just work skills, be it finding a job, or we'll come to that later, but just saying a lot of skills that I learned here, I felt that these are the things I would be probably using for the rest of my life.
And just talk a bit more about, the program itself, the different parts of the program, and then the student community that you had around you. It was a very small cohort, right? So how did those two things feed into your own learning and your experience? And finally, the job and the career and all of that.
Yeah. So actually the three things, right? One is the program itself, and second is how did we prep for the career that I would want, and the student part. I'll start with program itself. The program, we were the first cohort. Bunch of experiments did happen on us, and that was great, right? Because we were also one of the reason I joined a founding cohort and confident was that I get to people, they'll experiment on me, I'll experiment around me, and we'll see what sticks and what works well, right? So after that initial experimentation phase was over, there was a very solid focus on two things, right? One, they said, see, if you take up a job, whatever job, you need to have a bunch of hard skills to do the job, and then you need to have a bunch of soft skills to communicate what you're doing effectively to people around you. And I think the program was also very well laid out around that. There were a bunch of hard skills being taught, how do you take care of finance in your company? How is operations taken care of? how do you, what are the tools that come around it, be it Figma, be it like I said, Excel, or be it NIME Analytics, a bunch of tools that are relevant to do the job effectively. Then there was a bunch of emphasis on soft skills. How do you communicate it? How do you put it structured? If you have 5 minutes with a top executive, you're not going to waste that 5 minutes with detail, random details. How do you get to the crux sooner? So these were all the soft skills, and maybe most of the business skills schools, while they have a lot of information for a lot of faculties ready for theoretical subjects. One thing I saw in Mesa, I don't know if other schools have it, I'm not sure, but was that they had people, experts for all the soft skills as well. People who could evaluate where I'm standing currently, people who could objectively give me feedback. Okay, these are the areas of improvement that you could, work upon and actually become probably 2x better or 3x better. So on a coursework level, I'm intentionally not going into the details of, marketing, finance, ops, because those are given, right? We had fantastic faculty. So by and large, I had a really good time in terms of the fundamentals. But why I'm specifically focusing on the soft skills is that I think probably Mesa does the best in terms of prepping you for to make you a better communicator, make you a crisp communicator each minute you get with somebody.
So you're saying that there's a bunch of, so the program is designed in a way, or at least you experienced it in a way that it gave you a bunch of hard skills, but it also gave you a bunch of skills that you think are life skills, like will be useful for you, no matter what you do, where you do, even if you are an early stage startup to a late stage startup, if you're a founder yourself, whatever industry, it doesn't matter. I think that's a very good way to put it. And how did the entire student community feed into this?
So students, right? Because I came from a medical school, and here there were BBA graduates, there were law graduates, there were engineers, there was a pharma guy. So it was a very, very vibrant kind of. It was a very small and intimate cohort, but it was also vibrant at the very same time. So initially, I did take some time to fit into this team, but over a period of time, it was a fantastic bunch, because what happened was, out of all the 60 people, everybody had something that they were very good at, and a bunch of things they were okay, sure, and a few things they were bad at. So we could all learn from each other on what is this person very good at, right? So I could speak to that person on that particular thing and learn that, and vice versa. If there was something that I was good at, the other person could do the same. And the fact that we were the founding cohort, and we also had a lot of that brotherhood or sisterhood, whatever you call it, that we are all a part of the first cohort, and we have to have each other's back. So that camaraderie was definitely there in the batch, and I had a great time there. Yeah.
No, I could see it. And I know. So in the beginning, you participated in the BYOB, what we call build your own business, the micro D2C business. After that, you also, I think, for a little bit of time, tried to ideate on your own business ideas, right? That's where the medical tourism and I think even the upskilling on nursing and all came in. So you were ideating on starting your own business or like being serious about starting something as part of the program. And then you pivoted away from that to, focusing more on a full-time role after Mesa. So I think I'm sure, there are reasons for everybody to focus on either starting or on a role at different points of time. And you have already said that you want to be an entrepreneur at a later point of time. So I think that's completely fine. I'm just curious to understand that, because some of our conversations also revolved around what's the right role for you, right? So how did you make that decision? And I think what framework did you apply? Because I wanted to bring that out because I think it's very helpful, very interesting to hear that, and also something that everybody should hear about.
Right. I think the framework that you talk about, I actually had a framework in mind, especially towards the job part. Yes, before that, you asked another question around the ideation of a startup. I did try, working around, ideating around medical tourism. I spoke to a bunch of people who are actually in the industry and upskilling of nursing and all. I did spend some time here. But over a period of time, I realized, okay, where I am at currently, both in terms of learning, skills, and network and finances, all of these things, I thought this was a better time to probably take up a job and acquire a bunch of skills which will direct to it, and maybe a couple of years down the line, I am very sure that I'll move towards entrepreneurship. Now, coming to the later part of the question where you said what was the framework that you applied on what you wanted to do and what was the job I wanted to do, Actually, this framework also evolved over time, but I think now it's at a good shape because, right before I was taking the job, is that what I realized was, at least across the business world, what I witnessed is that a lot of services are getting productized. Obviously, software code productized a bunch of services. Now, once the artificial intelligence as a technology has came in, a lot of higher cognition services have started becoming productized. Right, law is getting productized to a fair degree. Finance is completely productized.
Medicine is getting productized.
Right now, my approach to this was India, number of products getting built out of India are increasing exponentially. Right, and where are they selling? They're selling across the world. US is usually a key market, but yeah, across the world, right? So how I looked at is and I also was interested in sales. That I figured out over a period of time. I did sales, some amount of sales before Mesa also. So I realized if there are really smart engineers out in India who are building amazingly good products, and those products have to get sold, one of the key resources that will be required is a person who can take it and sell it in different markets of the world. And I thought, if I can work backwards from that particular resource requirement and make myself the person who can take a good product and sell it across the world and learn all the skills around it. How do you generate leads, demand generation in the US? How do you serve them? How do you manage that entire relationship? I thought, in general, as a person, I'll become a very valuable resources a few years down the line. So I in fact, in my career sessions, this was also elicited, right? It didn't came out fully cooked. Over a period of time with multiple conversations, this was the final approach that I came in. So once I had this solidified in my mind, I only focused on SaaS/AI companies that were selling in international markets, and I explored a bunch of opportunities. I interviewed for jobs that had this component in it, and ultimately ended up in one. So that was my framework, that there are smart engineers in India who are going to build
basically two parts of that framework, right? One part is where are your own intrinsic strengths, right? And how does that match with, let's say, some of the most powerful macro trends?
Right.
So in this case, it's fundamentally, you said that, okay, you believe that you can actually be a very effective sales individual or a sales leader over a period of time. Right. And you felt on a macro level, there's just a huge wave of these massively new variety of products that need to be taken to customers. And you felt there was a good match, right?
Yeah. And I missed out another point, is that it actually ties into my entrepreneurship as well, is that if I want to start a company and I have there also needs to be some person, more likely it will be a software product, or maybe assisted tech-enabled company, that there are going to be people who will build this product. If I am the guy who can also sell this, we'll become a perfect match, right? It's like if I can tie up with two people who can build amazing products and I'm the business.
So basically taking a very mid to long-term view of what you want to do. Because I know at some point of time you were also thinking about, whether should I go into founder's office roles and all of that. And I think at that point, the discussion that we had was, doesn't matter what the role is called, right?
Yeah.
What should matter is, are you learning enough? Are you able to leverage your strengths,
right,
to build that credibility, to learn faster, to get more things to be done, because you're playing to your strengths in the beginning.
Right.
And then you're in the process, if you have enough to do, working with the right people, in the right product, in the right problem space, which is growing very fast, you will learn massively fast.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of years, you can do whatever you want, right? I mean, you can become a founder.
Yeah.
You can become a leader in another startup. You can continue to grow at the startup at where you are. Basically, you become indispensable. You become very valuable.
You said very valuable. I think that's a very right word, right? Once you become valuable, obviously things will start falling into place. And fact that I'm in a 20 people startup where, if at all I want to take up additional responsibilities beyond my core responsibilities,
nobody's stopping you, right? Everybody's saying, please take it up.
Yeah, it's a startup. Come on. Yeah. So I think your advice there to double down on my strengths was a very, very useful advice, because founder's office is great, but for me, if I have a certain core strength, if I can go deeper on
then you can be of better value to a founder.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Anyway, you're working with a founder right now.
Yes.
It's a 20 people team. You're working with a founder on their biggest problem right now. It's a founder office role.
Yeah, you can say that money is...
yeah. You're basically doing what the founder is doing. Founder is also selling.
Yes.
You're also selling.
Yeah.
And founder doesn't need help in thinking about, what's the 10-year strategy, right? They just need help in selling right now.
Right.
So that's the founder office role, right?
Yep.
Ultimately, you do what's important to the founder, and you do it in a way that you actually add leverage.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think it makes sense. And how did the entire preparation for, let's say, convincing this founder to hire you happen at Mesa? So obviously you came in with a lot of skills and strengths. That's why you were obviously admitted to Mesa. Then the program, sort of taught you a few things. But then beyond that, what else happened? What was the magic in between?
Right. So I think towards the mid of Mesa, obviously the career as a aspect took a very, very big stage. So what I got was that the course, while in the first half of the Mesa, or probably the first two semesters, we focused a lot on fundamentals. It became more and more fine-tuned, and obviously by that time I had figured I wanted to be in sales, preferably software sales, but not sure yet. In this phase, there was a lot of domain-specific sessions. We had the head of sales of Dozy come over and teach a course on B2B sales. We had, the CRO of Mo Engage come and take a workshop on B2B sales. So all of these kind of, started feeding into, okay, how does this work? What are the things they look for? What are the things they don't
Right.
like? What are the things they really, really appreciate? What are the skills they look out for when they're, hiring you? What are the hard skills, soft skills? What are the proof of work that you have to accumulate to tell them on why they should be hiring you and not some 20 other people who are also in the pipeline, right? So I kind of got help around all these lines. For example, proof of work. I got internships in B2B sales, in a company in Bangalore, and also I got a internship opportunity in Delhi. I worked there in specifically B2B sales, domain. Now I got a lot of tacticalness, and also I could speak in the interview around that. For example, that was on the interview level. Then there was a lot of career preparation, and one way where it was unique was that there were fundamental career prep sessions on what are the basic hygiene things that you have to do well. How do you introduce yourself? How long or short do you keep? Or how do you utilize your 30 minutes with the person well, right? And secondly was that a lot of empathy sessions were there. If a certain person is sitting on the other side, what are the things that they'll be looking for? How do you evaluate what are the things that they'll be looking for, and how do you work backwards from that? So all of this training happened so that when you're going into interview, it's not just about you. It's actually more about the other person. Are you going to be a person that will be helpful? So a lot of career prep sessions, and I also had a one-on-one mentor, right? There was a mentor assigned to me. It was a pretty senior person. I think roughly once in 2 weeks or once in 3 weeks, we used to have a 45 minutes to 1 hour call and see what has happened in the past 2 weeks. And he would correct if I am going any off the rails or all these things. And finally, towards the point of interview, there were a lot of tactical help that I got. I think that also moved the needle a lot. I actually wanted to take a quick example here. Is that I was interviewing with the company, and I had to present a demo for that interview panel.
Like a product demo,
sales demo. And the previous day, I had a mock session with one of my mentor, and I was giving that demo to that person to see if correct me. And towards the end of that, he said, "See, when the demo is over and you come to the pricing negotiation, when they'll definitely push you for pricing. These are the 3 things you could do to negotiate better and sound more professional." And he gave me some tactical advice on, okay, you can bundle it up, you can make it a long-term agreement, all that. And the following day, the exact same scenario came up. They pushed on the exact same thing. I gave the exact same answer, and it actually helped. Now, this is a tactical thing, but also it moves the needle right now on the other person sitting on the other end understands. Okay,
builds a lot more confidence. Builds a lot more confidence.
So this was more tactical, but by and large, there was a lot of working backwards from what is needed. For example, by month 7, I had figured out B2B sales is where I had to be. So all my mentors, all the coaches, all my mock interviews were all structured around B2B sales. It was not moving around. First 7 months, I did move around founders office, because I was not sure. But once I figured out, okay, this is what I want to do, then things became very smooth and very focused on that. And
talk a bit about, how you actually got matched to opportunities. So, how did you figure out these opportunities? What's the process we follow here?
Right. So I had which is the type of setup I wanted to work in. All the basic tactical requirements I had it in mind. I obviously laid it out to the careers team in Mesa. Now they took a lot of, they definitely put that as a priority and said, okay, these are the, let's say, filters that we have on what is the kind of opportunity that you would be looking for. What are the companies available in the market, and which of them are hiring? Now we had created a funnel for ourselves, and then there was a lot of assistance in terms of how do you reach out, who do we reach out? There were multiple ways of reaching out, right? I could reach out by myself, or I could come to you, and you would, if you had some mutual connection, you would connect me to them, or I could go to the careers team with Mesa or Parth or somebody, they would do the connection. sometimes they would bring the first conversation and we would take it along, and sometimes I would bring the first conversation and you would help me go through. So there was a lot of variations, but by and large, we all had common goal that you get an opportunity that you're excited about, and I think that happened pretty well. And I think this is where I should call out this particular thing is that I'd actually got an opportunity before this, but I was skeptical about it, and I called Varun and Mesa. I said, well, I've got this opportunity, I'm pretty skeptical. I don't think I want to take it. And they were also, initially a little stressed. Like it fit all the filters, but something was not feeling right. So, but ultimately, Varun said, see, Praveen, I think you're a smart guy, and I think we have more opportunities to give you. If you want to come back and explore more, we are happy to do that. And with that support, I came back in. I sat through the career and curriculum for another month and figured out a much more exciting opportunity.
Yeah. I think very interesting, and obviously, what we focus on is, or at least what we try to focus on, is to get the right opportunities, right? It's not just a filters game. It's also linked to more midterm thinking.
Yeah.
So that's why I think I wanted to bring out that framework. That what's that framework that you're using for yourself, and if the filters you apply sort of align with that framework,
then filters formed out of the framework.
Only, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they are disconnected, and it's our role to work with the student to sort of figure out that what's the framework for them, and then what's the right filter to sort of solve for that framework.
Right.
And once that happens, then it's sort of then we can work very closely with the student, because then they are aligned, they are motivated. We're also very confident, that this is the right thing to do for that student, not just from a very short-term perspective, but from a very long-term perspective, right?
I've seen you stressing that across the year, right? You said don't focus on short-term, and I think that was a very fair advice, right? Short-term, it'll become a very tactical thing, and you wanted a mid to long-term picture because obviously our success is your success is our success. I think it's very intertwined, and I think I at least tried to follow that as much as I could, and I think I'm in a good shape and place now.
So always great to hear that.
Yeah.
Switching gears to a lot of people who are going to watch this video are people who are considering applying to Mesa. So based on your own experience, your cohort mates, who are the kind of people you think should definitely apply to Mesa, and who are the kind of people you advise not to apply to Mesa?
Mm-hmm. So if I have to summarize that, I would say if you think to the student is that if you think you have substance, whatever the skill could be, it could be business ops, whatever. I'm not talking about specific skill, but if you think you have substance, and all you need is a great platform where that could be more structured, you can get access to opportunities, you can amplify the knowledge you have, amplify the skills you have, and you think you are ready to put in the work, I think Mesa is the place to apply to. But on the counter side to this, if you think, if I somehow crack into this B school and everything will be laid out for me, and I don't have to do anything, if that is the mindset that if you're coming with, I don't think this is a great place. But as long as you have the fundamental skills, fundamental, and also you used to talk about hunger a lot, right? You wanting to work, wanting to learn. I think if that instinct, is there, I think Mesa is a great place.
And if it's not there, then please don't.
Not really, because I know.
And you'll feel out of place here.
You'll feel out of place. You'll absolutely feel out of place, and hopefully you don't even get through. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's a good reminder for us.
Yeah.
Maybe try to keep it small, very selection process has to be tight.
Yeah.
Right. Any parting advice, insider tip for the people who end up applying?
Journey perspective. This is the tip, right? Is that first few months, like roughly 3-4 months, I would say 4 to 5 months, is that keep a very blanket and fresh mind, suppress your biases as much as you can, and try to get all the information, because this is the time where you're going to get a lot of high quality information from a lot of really smart people. Once you have that information in your arsenal, then you can start working on fine tuning it on how it will leverage you. Other than that, I think, like I said, if you have the hunger and you have the will to work, I think you'll do well. I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I think, Praveen, thank you so much for the time, for coming back to the campus. Hopefully we'll see more of you.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your journey. It's always great to meet people who are doing well, who have enjoyed our program, who we have enjoyed working with. If I can only have 60 more Praveens, that's it.
Thanks, Ankit.